Imagine a world beneath the ocean, an empire of dazzling temples, advanced technology, and wisdom beyond our reach, a civilization so grand that it once rivaled the powers of the gods themselves. Atlantis. Just hearing the name evokes images of sunken cities, forgotten temples, and ancient secrets lost to time. The idea of lost civilizations like Atlantis has fascinated humankind for centuries, partly because these myths offer us a glimpse into our own unknown past. But what if these stories aren't just myths? What if somewhere beneath the waves or hidden beneath layers of earth and history lies the truth about Atlantis and other forgotten civilizations? In this video, we're diving into the mysterious world of Atlantis and other lost empires, from the legendary land of Mu in the Pacific to the rumored cities hidden beneath the sands of Egypt. We'll explore the ancient texts, archaeological clues, and theories that suggest these places were real. More importantly, we'll ask why these myths of lost civilizations continue to captivate our imaginations and what they tell us about our own journey as a species. The story of Atlantis begins with the Greek philosopher Plato, who, in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, described an advanced society that thrived 9,000 years before his own time. According to Plato, Atlantis was a vast empire located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, thought to be the Strait of Gibraltar. This powerful civilization was blessed with wealth, technology, and military power that allowed it to dominate much of the known world. Yet, despite all its grandeur, Atlantis was not immune to corruption. Plato tells us that the Atlanteans fell into moral decay and, as punishment from the gods, were swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of catastrophic earthquakes and floods. But was Plato simply telling a cautionary tale, or did he base Atlantis on real historical events? The debate over whether Atlantis was real or a myth has raged for thousands of years. Some believe it to be nothing more than a metaphor for hubris and moral failure. Others, however, suggest that Plato's story might be a historical account of an actual advanced civilization that met a tragic end. In this chapter, we'll look at how the myth of Atlantis has shaped our collective imagination and examine the ancient accounts that support the idea of lost civilizations. Could Atlantis have been real, or is it simply the most enduring legend of all time? But Atlantis is only the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore how similar myths of lost civilizations appear all over the world. What secrets do these global stories hold, and could they all be connected? Stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries of Mu, Lemuria, and other fabled lands. While Atlantis may be the most famous lost civilization, it is far from the only one. From the Pacific to the Indian Ocean, cultures worldwide speak of lands that disappeared beneath the waves, taking their knowledge and mysteries with them. The allure of Atlantis has prompted many to search for clues, but similar myths have emerged in every corner of the world. These legends speak of civilizations with advanced knowledge of the stars, of medicine, and of architecture, civilizations that vanished in cataclysmic events. Among these, the stories of Mu and Lemuria stand out as some of the most intriguing and mysterious. In the late 19th century, a British explorer and writer named Augustus Le Plongeon claimed to have discovered evidence of an ancient civilization he called Mu. According to Le Plongeon, Mu was a vast continent that spanned much of the Pacific Ocean and was home to an advanced society that eventually sank beneath the waves. While Le Plongeon's theories were based largely on his own interpretations of ancient Mayan texts, the idea of Mu quickly took root in popular imagination. Authors like James Churchward expanded on the idea, suggesting that Mu was home to a civilization that spread across the world, influencing other ancient cultures. According to Churchward, Mu was a utopian society with advanced technology, a profound understanding of nature, and a deep spiritual knowledge. But, as with Atlantis, its people allegedly succumbed to a great catastrophe that erased nearly all traces of their existence. Critics argue that the legend of Mu is rooted more in fantasy than in archaeological evidence, yet there are hints across the Pacific of a civilization that may have existed in ancient times. Throughout Oceania, for instance, there are oral traditions and myths of a lost homeland in the East. Hawaiian legends, Samoan myths, and other Polynesian stories mention a place called Hawaii or Kumari Kandam in Tamil culture, suggesting a once thriving land now lost to the ocean. Could these myths be distant memories of Mu? Lemuria, another fabled lost land, was originally proposed as a hypothetical continent by 19th-century scientists to explain the distribution of lemurs across Madagascar, India, and Southeast Asia. Though this scientific theory was later dismissed, the idea of Lemuria inspired writers and spiritualists who expanded on the myth. In the late 1800s, occultists like Helena Blavatsky began describing Lemuria as a mystical civilization of spiritually enlightened beings. According to Blavatsky and other theosophists, Lemuria was home to an advanced people with psychic abilities and knowledge of esoteric arts. The Lemurians were said to live in harmony with nature, and their civilization was marked by profound spiritual insight. Like Atlantis, Lemuria was said to have been destroyed by a cataclysm, but their knowledge was believed to have survived in ancient wisdom traditions around the world. While mainstream science may dismiss the existence of Lemuria, traces of its myth persist. In India and other parts of Asia, legends still speak of lands submerged by the ocean, tales that predate European speculation. Some modern-day Tamil scholars, for example, point to ancient Tamil texts that mention a sunken land called Kumari Kandam, a place of advanced culture that was lost beneath the Indian Ocean. Could the myths of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria all point to a shared history? In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the possibility that these lost lands are remnants of a forgotten civilization. What if they hold a common origin, and if so, what might that mean for humanity's past? What if Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria are not separate myths but chapters of a single forgotten history? Could these lost lands represent an ancient civilization that spanned the globe, leaving traces in legends that survived thousands of years? As we dig into the legends of lost civilizations, intriguing similarities begin to emerge. These ancient societies are described as highly advanced, knowledgeable in science, spirituality, and the mysteries of the cosmos. Atlantis was known for its powerful technology and wisdom, while Mu and Lemuria are remembered for their harmony with nature and their spiritual depth. Despite being separated by vast oceans, the stories of these lands follow common themes of greatness, wisdom, and ultimate destruction. Some researchers suggest that myths like Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria might represent fragments of a prehistoric civilization that existed before recorded history. This theory, often called the prehistoric global civilization hypothesis, proposes that an advanced society thrived thousands of years ago, possibly predating ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley civilizations. According to this view, this civilization may have developed technology, science, and spiritual practices that influenced later cultures around the world. Archaeologists and historians generally dismiss the notion of a prehistoric global civilization, citing a lack of physical evidence. However, certain anomalies fuel speculation. For instance, structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza, Stonehenge, and other megalithic sites suggest knowledge of astronomy and engineering that was highly advanced for their time. Could these structures be remnants or echoes of an ancient civilization's influence? One of the common threads in these myths is the idea that these civilizations were destroyed by a sudden, cataclysmic event. In Plato's account, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea in a single day and night of earthquakes and floods. Similarly, the legends of Mu and Lemuria describe devastating natural disasters that wiped them from the face of the earth. Modern science provides some intriguing parallels. We know that around 12,000 years ago, the Earth experienced a period of intense climate change at the end of the last ice age. This period, known as the Younger Dryas, brought massive glacial melting, rising sea levels, and significant geological upheaval. Some theorists argue that these changes could have led to the flooding and destruction of low-lying regions, potentially giving rise to myths of lost lands swallowed by the ocean. Could these myths, then, be collective memories of real events, disasters that reshaped the world and erased entire societies? If so, they might not just be stories of lost lands but warnings about the forces of nature that can change the course of history. While the stories of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria capture the imagination, the question remains, is there any physical evidence? Explorers, archaeologists, and even oceanographers have spent decades searching for clues. Underwater ruins have been discovered off the coasts of Japan, India, and other regions, sparking debates over their origins. Off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan, for instance, lies a series of submerged stone structures that some believe are remnants of an ancient civilization. Although mainstream scientists argue these are natural formations, others are convinced that they are man-made. In the Indian Ocean, the ruins near Dwarka, India's ancient coastal city, reveal structures that date back thousands of years. Some theorists argue that these could be evidence of a lost civilization connected to the legends of Lemuria or Kumari Kandam. Could these submerged ruins be the remnants of lost lands that inspired ancient legends? The quest to uncover the truth about lost civilizations is far from over. In the next chapter, we'll explore how ancient cultures passed down these stories of lost lands, preserving the legacy of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria. How did these stories survive, and what secrets did ancient texts and oral traditions preserve about our hidden past? For centuries, tales of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria have endured through texts, myths, and oral traditions. But how did these stories survive, and what truths might they contain about our ancient past? Many lost civilizations live on not through physical remnants but through the voices of those who remember them. Ancient cultures preserved their histories through stories, songs, and sacred writings, passing down memories of their ancestors and the lands they once inhabited. In the case of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria, these myths have persisted in different forms across the world, each carrying elements of their original narratives. Plato remains the earliest known source of the Atlantis story, but many scholars wonder if he based his account on older knowledge. He claimed the story of Atlantis was passed down by Egyptian priests, who described an advanced civilization that existed long before recorded history. According to the story, an Athenian named Solon learned about Atlantis from these priests, who said that the story was already thousands of years old when they told it. Plato's writings serve as the primary historical record of Atlantis, and his descriptions were so detailed that many ancient Greeks believed Atlantis might be real. Over the centuries, philosophers, historians, and explorers have debated whether Plato's account was meant as fiction or fact. Yet, even if Atlantis began as an allegory, it has survived through millennia, sparking the imaginations of those who seek to uncover the truth about this lost world. While Atlantis may dominate Western myths, Lemuria and Mu resonate strongly in Eastern traditions. In the Tamil culture of South India, ancient texts speak of a land called Kumari Kandam, a great continent south of India that is said to have been submerged by the ocean. According to Tamil legends, Kumari Kandam was a center of advanced learning and culture, a place where poets, scholars, and spiritual leaders thrived. For centuries, Tamil speakers have kept the memory of Kumari Kandam alive through stories, poetry, and folklore. This myth is so deeply rooted in their culture that it has influenced their sense of identity and pride in their heritage. Similarly, in Polynesia, oral traditions mention a homeland to the east known as Hawaii, a mythical place from which their ancestors came. These myths suggest that Mu, or similar lands, may have been a part of cultural memory passed down for generations. Beyond oral traditions, ancient texts like the Mahabharata, the Popol Vuh of the Maya, and other sacred writings have preserved references to lost lands. The Mahabharata, one of India's great epics, describes floods and battles involving advanced beings and gods. These stories, while often interpreted as allegories or spiritual teachings, contain hints of events that may echo real geological upheavals or migrations. In Central and South America, the Maya and Aztec civilizations left behind codices, sculptures, and ruins that hint at great migrations and cataclysmic events. The Maya's Popol Vuh, for instance, speaks of a great flood that destroyed the previous world, a motif echoed in many ancient cultures around the globe. While written records can fade or be lost, oral traditions are remarkably resilient. By passing down stories verbally, cultures have preserved legends of lost lands for centuries, even millennia. Today, researchers studying indigenous stories often find that these myths align with geological events such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and floods. Some anthropologists believe that certain oral traditions could preserve memories of ancient migrations, environmental changes, or even the existence of now sunken lands. In the case of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria, oral traditions may hold pieces of truth that have survived long after any physical evidence has disappeared. While mainstream scholars may dismiss these stories as mere folklore, researchers in alternative history argue that oral traditions could be the key to understanding our distant past. What if the legends of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria are not just cultural memories but remnants of a hidden, ancient wisdom? In the next chapter, we'll explore the idea that these lost civilizations held spiritual and technological knowledge that influenced later societies. Could Atlantis and other lost lands have been the source of secrets that still shape our world today? What if the secrets of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria included knowledge far beyond their time? Could these civilizations have developed technologies and spiritual practices that influenced the cultures that came after them? One of the most captivating aspects of lost civilizations is the notion that they possessed advanced technology and spiritual insights, knowledge that has somehow survived and influenced the development of future societies. In stories about Atlantis, we hear of incredible architectural feats, powerful crystal technology, and deep wisdom in the sciences and spirituality. Similarly, Lemuria and Mu are often described as civilizations that lived in harmony with nature, possessing a spiritual connection to the earth and cosmos. The legend of Atlantis is filled with references to advanced technology, much of which seems remarkable even by modern standards. Some accounts describe Atlanteans harnessing the power of crystals to achieve feats of energy production, healing, and even communication. These Atlantean crystals were supposedly massive structures, capable of storing and transmitting energy across vast distances. According to some theories, these crystals served as power sources for the entire civilization and were used in everything from medical practices to transportation. This idea of crystal technology has fascinated researchers, some of whom point to similarities with modern crystal-based technologies, such as lasers and quartz-powered watches. While mainstream science considers the story of Atlantean crystals to be a myth, it's interesting to imagine what such a technology might have looked like and how it could have been lost to time. Could the crystal technology of Atlantis be a metaphor for a deep understanding of the natural world, a knowledge that allowed them to manipulate energy in ways we can only dream of today? Lemuria and Mu are often associated with a profound spirituality, described as civilizations that lived in balance with the earth and respected the divine in all things. Some accounts suggest that Lemurians possessed psychic abilities, such as telepathy and the power of healing, and were guided by a deep respect for nature. They are said to have developed advanced forms of meditation and spiritual practice, which allowed them to achieve higher states of consciousness. These ideas resonate with certain Eastern philosophies, suggesting that the spiritual knowledge of Mu and Lemuria may have influenced cultures that came after. In fact, the concept of oneness with the universe, found in many ancient spiritual traditions, aligns with descriptions of Lemurian beliefs. While these accounts are speculative, they raise intriguing questions. Could the spiritual wisdom of lost lands like Lemuria have survived, later inspiring practices like meditation, energy healing, and even yoga? One of the most tantalizing theories about lost civilizations is that their knowledge survived through their descendants, influencing later cultures such as the Egyptians, the Mayans, and the Hindus. For example, the advanced architecture of the Egyptian pyramids and the precise astronomical knowledge of the Mayans have led some to wonder if these civilizations inherited wisdom from a forgotten source. In Egypt, legends speak of Thoth, a god of wisdom who supposedly came from a distant land, bringing advanced knowledge of science, architecture, and spirituality. Some alternative historians suggest that Thoth could have been an Atlantean or the representative of a lost culture. Similarly, in India, the Vedic texts are filled with references to ancient gods, flying machines, and spiritual technologies that suggest a highly advanced understanding of the world. Whether or not these connections are historically accurate, they reflect a common theme. Ancient civilizations around the world developed remarkable knowledge in both the material and spiritual realms. Could they all have been influenced by a lost civilization that predates them? In modern times, the legends of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu continue to inspire spiritual seekers and alternative historians. Concepts such as energy healing, meditation, and ecological harmony are often linked to these lost lands. Certain New Age movements, for instance, draw on the idea of Lemurian wisdom as a source of inner peace and connection with nature, while others see Atlantis as a symbol of humanity's lost potential. For some, these stories serve as metaphors for a time when humanity lived in harmony with the earth and had access to profound knowledge. They also remind us of the dangers of hubris, warning that even the greatest societies can fall if they lose sight of balance and humility. While the idea of advanced ancient knowledge is captivating, it raises an important question: what happened to these civilizations, and why did they vanish so completely? In the next chapter, we'll explore the theories and mysteries surrounding the downfall of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria. Were they destroyed by natural disasters, or is there something more to the story? How did such mighty civilizations disappear so completely? Were Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria wiped out by the forces of nature, or is there a deeper, hidden reason for their downfall? The stories of lost civilizations share a common ending. These powerful societies all faced sudden, devastating destruction. Legends describe Atlantis as being swallowed by the sea, Lemuria as disappearing beneath the Indian Ocean, and Mu as sinking into the depths of the Pacific. But why did these advanced civilizations meet such tragic fates? Scholars, mystics, and historians alike have offered various theories to explain what could have happened to these fabled lands. Natural disaster is one of the most widely accepted explanations for the destruction of these civilizations. Plato wrote that Atlantis was destroyed by earthquakes and floods in a single day and night of catastrophe. Similar descriptions appear in the myths of Mu and Lemuria, where vast lands were submerged by the sea in an instant. Could these legends reflect real geological events? Modern science has shown us that massive geological shifts, like volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and tsunamis, can indeed wipe out entire regions. For example, the eruption of Thera, modern-day Santorini, around 1600 BCE devastated the Minoan civilization on Crete. Some theorists suggest that such an event may have inspired Plato's account of Atlantis. The end of the last ice age, which caused rapid sea level rises, could also explain the submergence of lands once above water. Another theory involves the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, which suggests that a comet or asteroid impact caused massive climate shifts and triggered floods around 12,000 years ago. If such an event occurred, it could have destroyed any advanced coastal civilizations existing at the time. Supporters of the Atlantis hypothesis argue that these cataclysms could explain how Atlantis, Mu, or Lemuria vanished so completely. Many ancient cultures have legends of a great flood, an event so destructive that it erased nearly all life on Earth. The Sumerians, Babylonians, Greeks, and even the Bible describe a deluge sent by the gods to cleanse the world. Could the myths of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria be linked to these flood stories? Some theorists suggest that these civilizations were destroyed as part of a cosmic cycle, a recurring pattern of creation and destruction that affects the entire planet. The concept of cosmic cycles appears in Hinduism, Buddhism, and ancient Mayan beliefs, where each cycle represents a different age of humanity. According to these traditions, civilizations rise and fall in accordance with these cosmic rhythms. The destruction of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria could, therefore, symbolize the end of a previous age. In Hindu cosmology, for instance, the world is currently in the Kali Yuga, the age of darkness and decline, which follows an age of enlightenment and harmony. For some, these stories serve as a reminder that humanity's existence is subject to forces beyond our control. If Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria truly existed, their destruction may reflect this larger pattern, where even the greatest civilizations are eventually swept away to make room for new cycles of growth. Another recurring theme in these legends is the idea that the downfall of these civilizations was not just a natural disaster, but a punishment. According to Plato, Atlantis fell into corruption and greed, abandoning its noble ideals and becoming obsessed with wealth and power. This moral decay angered the gods, who decided to destroy Atlantis as a consequence of its hubris. The same theme appears in many other cultural myths, suggesting that the fall of these ancient civilizations may serve as a moral lesson. Stories of Mu and Lemuria, for example, often speak of societies that fell out of balance with nature, using their knowledge for selfish purposes. In the mythic tradition, such moral decay leads to divine retribution, reminding us of the consequences when humanity forgets humility and respect for natural law. These cautionary tales resonate in today's world, where concerns about environmental degradation, war, and inequality are pressing issues. The fall of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria can be seen as warnings for future generations. No matter how powerful a society becomes, it cannot survive if it loses sight of its moral center. Some alternative theories propose that these civilizations were connected to extraterrestrial beings who guided or influenced their development. According to these ideas, Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria were either home to or visited by advanced beings from other worlds. Their knowledge and technology might have come from these alien influences, which could explain why these societies were so advanced. Proponents of these theories suggest that the downfall of these civilizations was linked to a cosmic conflict or intervention. Some believe that these advanced beings abandoned Earth or were forced to leave due to internal conflicts, resulting in the collapse of their societies. While mainstream science rejects this idea, it remains a popular explanation among those who believe humanity's origins and history might involve extraterrestrial influence. As we conclude our journey, we're left with more questions than answers. But one thing is clear: the legends of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria continue to intrigue us because they offer a glimpse of what might have been. In the final chapter, we'll reflect on the enduring impact of these myths and ask ourselves what they mean for humanity today. Are they merely stories, or do they hold truths that we have yet to fully understand? Why do the legends of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria continue to captivate us today? Beyond tales of vanished empires, these stories remind us of our potential, our resilience, and our responsibility to the future. The allure of lost civilizations is more than just a fascination with what once was, it's a vision of what could be. These myths offer stories of advanced societies that achieved harmony, knowledge, and greatness, yet fell due to natural forces or moral decay. Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria serve as reflections of human aspiration and hubris, reminding us of both our potential and our limitations. The lessons of these lost lands resonate deeply in today's world. The themes of greed, overreach, and respect for nature are woven into the stories of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria, and they speak to the challenges we face today. Atlantis, corrupted by wealth and ambition, fell from grace. Mu and Lemuria, in some versions, drifted away from their harmonious beginnings. As we advance in technology and influence, these stories remind us of the importance of balance between progress and ethics, power and humility. The warnings of these myths are even more pressing in the context of climate change, environmental degradation, and societal inequality. Just as the Atlanteans' unchecked ambitions led to their downfall, modern society faces similar risks if we ignore the consequences of our actions. The message is clear: no matter how powerful or advanced a civilization becomes, it is never immune to the forces of nature or the moral failings of its people. Beyond their cautionary lessons, the stories of lost civilizations have deeply influenced art, literature, and spirituality. Writers and philosophers, from Plato to H.P. Lovecraft, have used Atlantis as a metaphor for humanity's lost potential. Filmmakers, artists, and musicians continue to draw on these myths, creating works that explore the mysteries and wonders of ancient worlds. In the realm of spirituality, Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria are often seen as sources of ancient wisdom. Many New Age and esoteric practices claim to draw on the Atlantean teachings or Lemurian healing arts, viewing these lost civilizations as bearers of forgotten knowledge. Crystal healing, energy work, and meditative practices often trace their roots to the wisdom supposedly passed down from these ancient cultures. Though unverified, these practices reveal a deep longing to reconnect with an idealized past, a time when humanity lived in harmony with itself and the cosmos. Although mainstream science does not support the existence of Atlantis, Mu, or Lemuria, the fascination with lost civilizations persists, and some researchers continue to search for evidence of their existence. Underwater discoveries off the coast of Japan, India, and the Caribbean have sparked debates, as submerged ruins bear striking resemblances to human-made structures. Could there be undiscovered relics of ancient societies waiting beneath the ocean? Some scientists argue that it's possible for highly localized, advanced cultures to have developed in isolated regions and vanished without leaving a significant archaeological footprint. Rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age may have buried such settlements, leaving us only with myths and fragmented memories. And while evidence of an advanced global civilization remains speculative, the idea that isolated societies could have achieved remarkable technological and spiritual heights is not outside the realm of possibility. In the end, the myths of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria endure because they offer us hope and a sense of wonder. They remind us that there may be more to human history than we currently understand, that civilizations can rise, fall, and leave legacies that shape the consciousness of future generations. These stories encourage us to look to the past with curiosity and humility, to honor the mysteries of our origins, and to seek knowledge that could transform our understanding of humanity's journey. As we stand at the edge of our own uncertain future, the myths of lost civilizations remind us of the fragility and resilience of human society. Perhaps we are not so different from the people of Atlantis or Mu, faced with the challenge of building a better world without losing our moral compass. These stories serve as both a warning and an inspiration, challenging us to envision a future where humanity remembers the lessons of the past and strives toward a balanced, harmonious existence. The stories of Atlantis, Mu, and Lemuria leave us with questions that may never be fully answered. Yet, they remain powerful because they connect us to universal themes of wisdom, ambition, loss, and the eternal quest for meaning. Whether these civilizations truly existed or are only symbols of human potential, they remind us of the mysteries that lie just beyond our understanding, and the incredible possibilities that await those willing to seek them out. Thank you so much for watching this video and taking the time to explore this fascinating story with us. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support means the world to us, and God bless us all.